What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Jared Williams Show. Today, I got my special guest with me, Mr. Eddie Barkhurst, who never comes on this podcast.
Yeah, rare.
Very rare. Today, we're going to talk about the cost of running a successful plumbing business, and we're going to go through 6 points here that are super important that you need to know if you want to have a profitable plumbing company, which I imagine if you're watching this podcast, all of you do.
Probably.
But before we get into that, you guys need to go check out our sponsor, PlumbLineAnswers.org. PlumbLine is a 24-hour answering service that absolutely 100% kicks butt. They will answer the phone and they'll book the calls into your CRM, and you pay per booked call. And so if you're in a crawl space or your CSR is busy or you guys aren't open or it's the middle of the night and you're spending money on marketing, you can get that phone call answered and booked on your schedule and get done with the job or put down the phone or wake up in the morning with more calls on your board. It's absolutely magical and totally worth it. We use them in all of our companies, and we will continue to do so because they're rad. And I know them personally, so go check them out at PlumbLineAnswers.org. If you tell them you heard them from this podcast, you get 1 week of free booked calls. Can't beat that.
No,
But bam.
you cannot.
They're actually pretty awesome. So the cost of running a successful plumbing business.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to talk to you about something on this podcast, but we're going to wait till topic number 5, and I'll spill the beans to you. But it's pretty epic.
Surprise.
We've been working on the price book specifically, so it has a lot to do with the cost, and we've been trying to be a little more strategic about our thinking and pricing. It comes from a deeper understanding, I think, just doing this long enough now that we're starting to get it.
Mm-hmm.
Start to click a little more.
Yeah.
Even though it clicked pretty well before, I think it's going to click even better now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yeah, we thought we had a good idea of what we were doing, and the further we get into it, the more we realized maybe we didn't know what we were doing as thoroughly as we thought.
No idea. Okay. So topic number 1 is the expenses of running a plumbing business. Everybody thinks that, and I know I thought this too, I would look at like what my boss would bill out. I remember I was working commercial work and we were billing out $120 an hour. And I thought that's absolutely insane because I only get paid $47.
Mm-hmm.
And
over twice what I'm making.
Yeah. Almost 3 times. Yeah. And I remember thinking like, I'm going to go out on my own and all that extra, anything from 47 to 120, that's what I'm going to make on my paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't understand that it costs money to run a plumbing business or how much it costs to run a plumbing business.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you start thinking about it at scale, like with 3 guys, here's the funny thing about the costs. Everybody says, oh, those big companies have to charge more because they have massive overhead. That's actually not true. It's just that they know better.
Yeah.
Like they have economy of scale that the small guy doesn't have. Like when you, oh man, I'm getting old, dude. Move wrong in my, some feels like it's going to break. Because I've seen it now a million times, when you're a 1-truck chuck and you're trying to go from 1 truck to 2 or 3 trucks, that is you have the most overhead for the least amount of revenue produced.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the hardest time. And
yeah.
The only way you win in that scenario is by working your buns off and having higher efficiency than when you have guys working for you. That's it.
I suppose it's true that the big companies have a lot of overhead, but they also should have a lot more revenue to offset that overhead.
Yeah, they have a butt ton of revenue coming in.
If they don't, then they have a big problem, but they ought to have.
They do. Correct. The numbers are much bigger, but the safety in numbers is a real thing. The economy of scale is a real thing. I broke that out on a YouTube video just talking about the difference between, I think we talked about this on the last podcast too, the difference between like a 1-truck chuck, like the inputs that he has to put into that and the risk of it versus like a 3-truck company, inputs and the risk of it versus an 8-truck company, I'd rather have the 8-truck company all day long.
Yeah.
And you can actually be cheaper as an 8-truck company than you can as a 3-truck company. And you can actually be cheaper as a 3-truck company than you can as a 1-truck company. Believe it or not. It's backwards of what most people think it is.
Yeah. Yeah. They think that the more vehicles you have on the road, the more you pay out per hour of operation, which you do, but you should also be bringing in a whole lot more per hour of operation.
Yeah, and it's customers think the same thing too. I shouldn't be paying for your overhead. Well, who the hell do you think pays for it, you zing donk?
Dude, somebody called at Prospector years ago throwing a fit about his bill, and he said something about, yeah, well, you wear out the tires when you drive to my place, but I'm not paying for that either. I got news for you. You are paying for that. You're paying a little bit of your bill is going towards buying new tires when we need it. And same with the next guy. You wouldn't be happy if you found out if the idea of paying for tires upsets you, you would not be happy when you find out the other things you're paying for.
I agree.
You're paying for the meat sticks that the boys argue about in the break room too. You're going to be pissed.
The $12 meat sticks. Yeah. I think like for customers and for new business owners, they have to get rid of this idea that like everything is just labor and materials. Because there's like when a customer calls like that and they're like, I want a breakdown. It's like, well, can you explain that a little further? Because I'm not sure what you mean by breakdown. And they're like, I want a labor and material breakdown. And it's like, well, I sold you a bunch more stuff than labor and materials. I sold you about 100 items. So which one specifically would you like to know about?
Yeah.
Have you ever had that? Like when somebody calls in and they say that, I want a breakdown, they're thinking labor and materials. That's how like most plumbing business owners think in their brain as well. I have labor and I have materials. My labor costs this much. My materials cost this much. I'll mark it up 20%. I'm going to be super profitable. And they completely forget about truck costs, gas costs, CSR costs, licensing costs, insurance costs, tools that they got to buy, all sorts of crap, maintenance on their van, shop rent costs, downtime, like unbillable time. That's a cost. They forget about all that stuff. And so have you ever had the conversation? I've wanted to have this conversation, but I've never had the opportunity because I wanted to see how it goes I want a breakdown. And it's like, well, can you explain that further? Because I'm not quite sure what you mean. And I want to get them to say, I want to know how much the materials were and how much the labor was. And I want to say back, I want to answer them like, honestly, yeah, the labor cost me $125 and the materials cost me $36. And then I want them to be like, well, why the hell did you charge me so much?
That type of person would start a Reddit thread.
Oh, totally. And then I want to be able to respond to that of like, well, it costs a lot more. Like we didn't just sell you labor and materials. When you called our company, first of all, you called our company because we did some marketing. So there's a cost to the marketing. That costs this much. And then when you called our company, you called us through a phone. We have a phone system that costs this much. And so you paid this much for the phone system. And just like sit there and just break it down, like every little thing they paid for. And then go, and here's our net profit on the job. What's funny is like a lot of the times at Prospector, it was like our net profit was 0 for 2 years. So I could have answered that question and got down to the end. And there'd be like a couple bucks left over. And I want the customer to respond to that and then be like, well, I'm not paying for your overhead. And I said, well, let me tell you a little bit about how business works. If you don't pay for the overhead, who pays for it? How does that work?
You do. Out of your profits is what they want to say.
Please answer that question for me because I'm a little confused at what you're thinking about. Have you ever had that conversation?
So I've wanted to. It's very tempting to get into that, but it's tough to, like, those people are calling in because they want to make a scene, so much of a scene that I give up and say, man, here, you're absolutely right. Here's a 80% discount. We never should have charged you that much is what they want.
Yeah.
And like, it's really tempting to enter into that conversation like that, but I never have, just because at the time, like, it was not my business and I didn't want it to come back to you that this dude was arguing with his customer, and like I felt like it would probably be more harm than good to get that far, but
Yeah.
I've started in on that a little bit, and they just get furious. And,
So when I first hired you, there was a job that we did where we ran some of the houses in Alaska are like on stilts, and they run the crappy houses, the ghetto houses, and they run the sewer line hanging underneath the house, and it's freaking a gazillion degrees below zero. And so you end up having to heat trace those sewer lines, and then you need to spray foam insulation on the thing. And so this guy had some problems with his, and one of our guys went up and cut a big chunk of it out and redid it and had it reheat traced and spray foamed the whole 9 yards. And then he accepted the quote, got the price up front, signed the thing, paid the bill, left us a 5-star review, and then for some reason had Altrol out to his house, which was like probably our biggest competitor in Fairbanks. And they told him that they would have done it way cheaper, and that's a ripoff, and blah, 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 obviously. And then he called, and I had just hired you. Maybe you were like, I don't know, 2 to 3 weeks in. Do you remember this guy?
I don't yet.
Yeah. So he called in, and he was mad about the price, and you were like genuinely confused because you're like, so I see here that we like took your phone call. We dispatched a technician out to your house. He went out there and he wrote you multiple estimates, and you chose one and you agreed to it, and I have your signature on it with the price on it. And then we did the work just like we said we were going to do. And then you paid the bill and you left us a 5-star review. What happened?
Yeah.
Like you were like, how does that happen? And he's like, well, I heard, I got another quote from another company, and they said you were ripping me off. And so I want a breakdown of labor and materials. And I remember you telling him, like, when you go get I heard this in person, when you go to a fancy steak restaurant, do you ask and you agree, you see the price on the menu and you order it, which is agreeing to pay that price for that steak, and the steak comes out and it's great and you eat it and you pay your bill. Do you then ask to talk to the manager of the restaurant and ask for a breakdown on that steak? Like, there's a lot more that goes into that steak than just the chef's time to cook it and the meat that's on your plate. You paid for the rent on the restaurant, the marketing for the restaurant, the owner's pay, the people washing the dishes, the servers, the cooks, the silverware costs. I remember hearing that, and I was like, interesting.
I don't think I left that conversation any less confused than when I started it either.
Yeah.
Like, the guy, I don't remember the outcome. I don't remember what he said, apparently.
That's the guy. So there's a Reddit thread about Prospector, how they rip people off. That's that guy started that guy. Thread, yeah.
Gotcha.
It's actually a pretty good thread if you go read it, because like like the title of it is pretty enticing.
Yeah.
You're like, it's like Prospector Plumbing, like rip me off or something like that. And you click on it and he tells his story and you're like, oh, that doesn't sound good. And then you start reading the responses, and a bunch of people got on there and they were like a couple people were like, you get what you pay for. Like, yeah, you can always get it cheaper, but just because you paid a lot of money and you were happy with the product, sounds like you got what you paid for there, buddy.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
That's nice it's nice to know that people were calling that guy out for making a BS thread.
Yes.
Yeah.
There were people who, jumped on the Prospector is ripping people off bandwagon. Sure. That's just to be expected.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
It's part of the deal.
And I never really understood. Like, I've had a lot of those conversations with people over the years. I'm sure we're going to have more and more and more and more.
Yep.
I never really understood, like, got a good understanding of how you can go from, dude, I'm so happy. Thank you for taking care of this. Here's the money that I promised to pay you.
Yeah.
Also 5-star review. Oh, by the way, now I'm pissed. Like,
Yeah.
I may never understand that.
You didn't have to buy it.
Right.
You could have done, like, you're the customer. It's your responsibility to like decide if the price that I'm presenting to you is worth it for the work that you're getting or not.
Mm-hmm.
It's not my responsibility as the business owner.
Right.
Yeah. It's strange.
Yeah.
So moral of the story is the cost of running a plumbing business is likely more than you think.
Mm-hmm.
So for a 3-truck company with a small office space, 1 customer service representative, the owner not in the truck anymore, 3 technicians out there running, if you're doing marketing and you're fully licensed and you've got decent vehicles and you're running a good business, that business costs you about $1 million a year just to run.
Mm-hmm.
End of story. And so, like, at that rate, if you go do the math, like, you can't be, depending on how you're pricing, like, you can't be less than 300.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're 300, you need a significant material markup to make up for the rest.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a lower material markup, you're going to have to be higher on your labor. It's kind of crazy, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody listening, we have a free hourly rate calculator on our website, wealthyplumber.com. If you click the drop-down menu, there's freebies. Go check them out. Totally free. You don't have to fill out any information. You can just grab them and use them. Let's see. Number 2, the importance of tracking all expenses. How important is that?
Dude, incredibly important. You have to know where that money's going.
You have to.
You can't fix any problems if you have no idea where the money's going. You can't deploy your money effectively if you have no idea where it's going.
Yep.
You have to know where it's going.
Yep. It drives me insane when, so we do hourly rate calculator reviews in our school group every Tuesday. So you can submit your hourly rate calculator and I'll walk through it step by step, all your expenses. And the guys who are just starting out, like, they don't know all their expenses. And so they have to just kind of guess a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, I'll get guys in there who've been in business for a while and they've got technicians and they should know their expenses to the T, like down to the gnat's ass. Like, they shouldn't, down to the penny.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't. And I'm like, dude, you cannot price your company to be profitable if you don't know how much it costs you to run this thing.
Yeah.
I love the way that Ellen Rohr says it. You have to charge more than it costs.
Yeah.
In order to do that, you have to know how much it costs. Otherwise, you're screwed.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not going to work.
So simple. It makes you sound dumb when you think about it.
It does make you sound dumb. Yeah. Yeah. It is simple.
Mm-hmm.
It is simple, but it's harder to do than that. So part of that is you should be reviewing your P&L monthly, at least. And you should have a really good idea of, like your P&L is just a bunch of categories. And then you should look at your P&L in dollar amounts and in percentages.
Mm-hmm.
And you should get used to looking at those percentages and knowing what they typically are. And then if something is off, go find out why.
Yeah.
What most people don't know is, like, so I've worked with some, like, private coaching clients who we get their P&L and they don't have access to QuickBooks, or their bookkeeper uses some other platform because it's easier for them. I hate that. So, and then they can't get access. So I want a bookkeeper that uses QuickBooks, and I want to have access to that online so that I can go pull my own financial data. And when you pull your own P&L in QuickBooks, like in the software online, you can click on a category and it'll pull up every expense for that time frame that you're looking at that's in that category. And everybody should know exactly, okay, in this category, it's these expenses. And they should be, if there's one that's wrong, they should be telling their bookkeeper, hey, this is an expense for this other category over here, and you have it in this category here. We need to move that around.
Mm-hmm.
That's your job as the business owner.
Right.
Make sure that like technician labor is in your cogs, that job materials are in your cogs, that subcontractors are in your cogs. And then you should know exactly what percentage your labor should be, what percentage your materials normally are, what percentage your subcontractors normally are, what percentage your gross profit normally is, or what it should be to be profitable. Or if you've got like office expenses and you come in and they're typically 10%, but this month they're 15%, you should be going into QuickBooks and clicking on it and seeing what's going on. That's like, you have to know how much it costs. You have to charge enough to cover the cost to make a profit, but then you also have to like be responsible for your costs because they'll get out of hand if you just kind of like let them go.
Yeah.
Like every shiny new thing that comes by, you start buying it, your costs are going to get out of hand.
Mm-hmm.
Easy.
And then you're going to be surprised when there's no money left at the end.
Yeah, I can't make any money. Well, you're spending a bunch of money on a bunch of stupid crap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Happens too often.
Far too often.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you didn't keep tabs on that for like a whole year, and then if you set your price at the beginning of the year,
dude,
and then you just let her rip tatership at the end of the year, you're probably like, you'd be surprised at how far that can get off.
Mm-hmm.
It should be a consistent thing you're looking at of probably every quarter. You should be looking at getting all your costs spilled out. Like, what am I paying for? And then just start cutting stuff you're not using.
Mm-hmm.
And then like us, our hourly rate calculator, it's anytime we take an expense away or add an expense, it goes on the calculator.
Mm-hmm.
And then we adjust our hourly rate to make up for it. And then we adjust our hourly rate in Service Titan so that we're charging the right amount constantly.
Yeah.
It's a living, breathing thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have to maintain it.
Otherwise, you're walking around directionless. You got no idea what's happening. You're just hoping that your efforts in the field are enough.
Yeah.
And then, wait till the end of the year. That would be insane.
It would be insane,
to
but
see what happened.
Yeah, it's crazy. The probably the one thing that got out of hand for us that I remember thinking for like 6 months, there was like, I remember looking at the P&L, maybe it was like quarterly, there was like $100,000 missing somewhere. And I couldn't figure out where or why or what. And it was materials. It was our material efficiency. And it took me forever to figure that out. Like forever. Like we were charging for 50 grand in materials and we were spending 100. And so we'd mark our materials up 120%. And so we were only getting 20% gross on our materials, gross profit. And our overhead was 30%. And so we were 10% in the hole on materials.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, where's this money going?
Yeah.
And it took me forever to find that.
And so what were you thinking the whole time that you were looking for that?
I was just like, okay, well, for some reason, the math just wasn't adding up. Like how much money we should be making that I could calculate versus how much money we were making was not calculating.
Mm-hmm.
And this is before we were on margin pricing. It's part of the reason why we switched to margin pricing because it's much easier to track all that stuff. It's much more congruent with your P&L.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't have a full understanding of everything that happens in the business and how that affects the P&L like I do now.
Mm-hmm. And
so I didn't know. I just was sitting there like running random reports and looking at them and trying to understand things and looking at my P&L and just crunching numbers left and right. And one day I just happened to stumble upon it and it was like, ding.
There it is.
And I was like, oh, there it is. Okay, now how do we fix this? Was the other question.
It's not like you were looking at the bank account one day and $100,000 was missing.
Uh-oh.
What you were looking at was your projected P&L saying this is what our revenue should be versus our actual P&L, and this is what our revenue was.
Yep. I think I started looking at like projected revenue versus real revenue, and then I started looking at how much time we were selling, and based on how much time we were selling, we should have hit the projections. Like we hit projected time sold, but we didn't hit total revenue. And like I say that now, and I'm like, well, duh, it's materials. But back then, I had no idea. But yeah, material costs can get out of hand quick.
Yeah.
Just with like the cost of material goes up 10%, and you don't adjust your price book, you're screwed. Your guys are using 10% more material than what you have in your price book, you're screwed.
That's a common one. That happens a lot.
Oh, a lot. Just
where they buy an extra whatever 10% at the supply house because they used 2 on that last one, and so I better just restock.
Yeah, I better just
grab a few extra.
I'll throw like 6 at the shop too, just in case anybody else needs them. Yeah,
one of our guys was more guilty of that than some of the others.
Yes, so I would go throw materials away,
and
they'd be like, well, they'd come in for like, I remember there were I can't remember what that. There was like some PVC fittings, because up there everything's ABS, but then we started installing gas-fired boilers. What do you call those?
Condensing.
There you go.
Yeah.
Like gas-fired condensing boilers with PVC stacks. And it was a little bit hard to get PVC sometimes, like every now and then.
Yeah.
And so our guy went to the store for some 2-inch PVC 90s, and they didn't have them. So he thought, well, if this is going to be a regular thing, we should probably stock these at the shop. So we bought like 20 of them. And then I came back and I saw 16 2-inch PVC 90s at the shop, and I put them in the dumpster.
Yep.
And then he comes in, he goes,
dude, they hated seeing that.
And he's like, hey, I bought some 2-inch PVC 90s and left them here. Where are they? I said, we don't stock materials here. I threw them in the dumpster. And part of that was because we wanted to control. We didn't want that to happen because we knew what the result would be. It was cheaper to throw away those 90s and teach that person a lesson than let them continue to do that.
Dude, we did that so many times, especially when we had a van free up. The guys would it couldn't sit out in the yard without the guys just picking through it.
Yeah.
And so what I would do is pull the vehicle in, and we would empty that van out and put it in the yard.
Yeah.
And the tools and stuff would go back on the truck, but then the stock I wanted to distribute amongst the vans that were still out in operation.
Yep.
And as soon as we did that, they looked at all that stuff and they grabbed a few things, and then they were like grossed out by the rest of it and refused to take any of it. And so I'm like, we've got these tables full of stock down there. If you want them, take them. If not, I'm going to throw them away.
Yep.
And so then I would leave them there for a week, and I would throw them away at the end of the week. And they would come in and say, what's all that stuff in the dumpster? It was all that stuff on the table that you refused to touch.
Yep.
Oh, shoot, we're going to have to rebuy that. Don't you do it. You buy one if you need it on a job. Do not restock.
Yep.
One of our guys got pretty upset to see 4-inch HDPE, like a 3-foot chunk of insulated 4-inch HDPE in the top of the dumpster. Like, we need that every once in a while.
Yeah.
Buy a stick.
Go buy it.
Shop,
yeah.
And throw the rest away. Do not bring it in here to the shop.
Yeah. We had a little bit of a different mentality about materials than I think most contractors do.
Yep.
We went to one material, we went to one supply house a majority of the time, and they weren't the cheapest. They were the most efficient. They would get the order right more often than not, versus the other place might be cheaper, but they always got stuff wrong on the order.
Yeah.
And they were the only one that would allow us to pay our bill online with a credit card. Everybody else, we had to go hand deliver a check.
Yeah.
So, screw that. I don't want to do that.
Right.
So, we gained efficiency in labor by paying more for materials, and we charged our customers more for materials to make up for it. If we had to, I think it offset because we were more efficient on the labor, that at the end, it probably didn't matter.
Yeah.
And then we viewed the supply house as our stock, not our shop.
Mm-hmm.
The trucks and the supply house are the stock. And then we never really controlled the stock or materials in anybody's van. What we did is we held them to an efficiency standard. However, I think the only issue that we ran into was that, like, that we have one guy again who just kept way too much crap in his van, like overloaded his van, just way too much. And it was absolutely, like, looking back on it now, probably should have been like, you can't do that. If your van is good, if you're gonna put that much stuff in your van, you can't work here.
Mm-hmm.
End of story. Like, I'm gonna have to fire your ass unless you clean up your van.
Dude, it was so tough to argue with him because, like, the intent seemed to be there. He wanted to be more capable out in the world.
Yeah.
And so it's like he was so close to being there and being more useful than the others.
Yeah.
But in the end, it ended up not working out that way at all.
No.
It was just like hoarding.
Yeah, it is hoarding. And the dumb part is like when I was in the van, if I could have one part do three things, I would carry that one part. Mm-hmm. Even if it was more expensive or harder to use, I would carry that one part rather than carrying all three parts.
Yeah.
This guy would carry that part plus all three parts plus probably three more.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I run into a scenario where this happens, the easiest thing for me to do is to do this. And so I want that part on my van.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he'd have Wurzbo fittings, he'd have crimp PEX fittings, he'd have all the sweat fittings, all the press fittings.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't carry any sweat fittings. I carried all press. And even if I had to open the wall and cut shit out, I would.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dad, for cussing, but I would. So anyway, the moral of the story is you need to know where all your money is going, what it's being spent on, and why you're spending it on that, and whether or not you should be spending it on that. And if you don't need to, stop it.
Mm-hmm.
Just cut it out.
Yeah.
And don't allow your employees to, like, take control of your expenses and spend your money for you, because they don't have the same mindset about it.
Dude, he wrecked that van. Like, he totaled that van by carrying too much stuff in it.
After I sold it, thankfully.
Yeah. But, like, the Sprinter van is a 1-ton van and it had helper springs on it, or airbags. I can't remember now.
Yeah.
The frame got cracked. I mean,
the frame's cracked.
Yeah. Yeah. It was destroyed because there was just too much stuff in it.
Was the new owner able to insurance that out?
I think so.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. At least that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard about that and I was like, oh, that sucks. I felt bad for a lot because I allowed that to happen.
Right.
Basically. Yeah. Just,
I mean, we had a standard and he just refused to.
Well, we didn't hold him accountable to it.
Yeah.
And if we would have, he probably wouldn't have worked there.
But when we did van inspections, like, I get in there and everything would be up off the floor for the most part.
Yep.
And relatively clean and put away. And so, I mean, it looks like, but there was so much stuff just packed away. So
here, like, what are we going to do? I can't imagine that happening because all we have is plumbing.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine that happening for just plumbing.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I think we should train our guys on efficient van stock.
Yeah.
Versus, instead of having everything you need for every single situation you're ever going to run into for the rest of your life in your van, hope we just have, like, efficient van stock and multi-use items.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was weird doing van inspections. Like, I did it for 2 years and same kind of way. Like, everyone knew what the standard was. I would go out and look at their vans and then I would say, dude, this is a mess. You need to clean it up. And then one day I switched to a score on a scale of 1 to 10. Dude, this is a 4. You need to get this cleaned up. And giving them a ranking like that made all the difference. Like, they were like, oh, dude, a 4? Yeah, dude, all this shit stacked in the corner, and, like, why are all those fittings in cardboard boxes spilling out? Like, put them in fitting trays.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And then giving them a score made the difference to them.
How did you score it? Did you have a system for scoring?
No, it was just like, I mean, like I had a vision of what a perfect 10 looked like.
Yeah.
And then I would cut points by, it was all arbitrary. No, it wasn't system. It was just like, I'm looking at it and I'm like, this sucks. This is disgusting. I would never be able to operate out of this. This is a 4.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. I thought it would be, no, with all that shit piled in the corner, you need to pick all that up and put it away. And why do you have all of that on here anyway? Get this cleaned up. Oh, okay. Like, why did that make a difference to him? I'm not sure, but it did.
It's interesting. Cool. Okay. Let's see. Number 3, calculating billable hours. This is one expense that people have that they don't understand. That in service, if a guy works 40 hours a week, he does not bill 40 hours a week.
No.
If he does, you're either not training him enough, or he's a total rock star.
Yes, star.
One of the two.
Keep him.
Yeah, definitely keep him. Most guys do not bill out 40 hours. There's just like you use something out of your van, you got to go replace it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's either a trip to the shop to get it out of your stock, or it's a trip to the parts store to get it from the parts store. You have to have regular meetings with your guys to stay on top of jobs and problems and things you need them to do differently and all that stuff. So they're going to be coming to the office for some sort of meeting. We did meetings every Monday and Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Monday morning was like a 30-minute meeting just about what all we got going on, so everybody's on the same page. And then Thursday they come in for training. You're going to have to train your guys. There's going to be times when they get dispatched to a job and they spend 2 hours talking to the customer or driving to the job, talking to the customer, going over options, and they walk away with $0.
Mm-hmm.
That's time that they spent out there that's unbilled.
Or they do that same thing, 2 hours dispatching and then talking to the customer and writing estimates and overcoming objections. And then they sell something and the time that they sold is strictly covering the wrench turning time.
Right.
And then afterwards, the cleanup and collecting and throwing away their trash and stuff is unbilled.
Yeah.
Like, that's all.
They spent 2 hours total on the job and they billed out 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
That's 25% efficiency on the
Yeah.
job. Yeah. So you need to track. Well, you need to track for billable hours. If from what we found, it's about 55%.
Mm-hmm.
Have we gotten more? Yes. But have we gotten less? Absolutely. And it kind of fluctuates throughout the year depending on busy season, non-busy season. They're going to get more billable hours during busy season, less billable hours during non-busy season. And on average, it's about 55% of your time gets billed out if you're running a decent business.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I think not Pantheon this year, but last year I was watching Ken Goodrich speak. And he asked the question, like, how many of you guys are actually tracking your billable time, like how much time you sold, your billable efficiency? I call this global efficiency. How many of you guys are tracking your global efficiency and adjusting it on the fly? He said, because most companies that I go look at are about 30%. They're only billing for 30% of their time. It's like, wow.
By
That's
global
crazy.
efficiency, you mean the amount of time that tech put on his timesheet versus the amount of hours he sold.
Yeah. So
at
like if
work
they were to
that
go
week.
look at a 12-month time frame, and let's see, you have 3 technicians. They worked 6,000 hours, 2,000 hours each technician. And then in
Billed
this instance,
you, the business owner, for 6,000 hours.
yep. And they only sold 600 per.
Mm-hmm.
So you're at 1,800 billed. So you're at 30% efficiency, global efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be disgusting.
That would be super disgusting. And so to overcome that, you would either have to get more efficient or you would have to raise your prices
Mm-hmm.
to account for it.
Yeah.
And this is where like the weird correlation between efficiency or time on tasks comes into play with your hourly rate. And I didn't understand this for the longest time, but like your hourly rate is really useless. It's a useless metric in and of itself. Because if you've got 2 hours, or like, let's say you're $600, I'm $300 an hour, and you've got an hour on a toilet task and I have 2 hours on a toilet task, the toilet's the same price. Like at the end of the day, like who cares? However, your efficiency is going to be lower. Mine's going to be better.
It takes me longer than an hour. Yeah.
Well, let's say it takes let's say it actually takes 2 hours and you've got an hour on your task. It's taking your guys 2 hours every time. And it's taking my guys 2 hours every time. My efficiency is going to be much better than yours. Like if all we sold was toilets, then you're going to be much lower. I'm going to be much higher. I'm probably going to hit like 60% efficiency. You're probably going to be down at like 30. So I think the better thing to do, because I think what happens is I think when people go build their price book, there's a few things that happen, but we'll cover one of them. They're looking at the individual tasks and they're looking at their hourly rate and they go undercut these tasks because they're scared of the price on the task.
Yeah.
And then they go out and they go throughout the year and they're really bad at, and they don't have a system for going into the home and selling the customer more stuff. Or they're really bad at sales, so their conversion rate's super low. And like the combination of those three things, undercutting tasks in the price book, really bad sales skills, and then really bad average tickets, just destroys your global efficiency because you're just not billing enough of your time out.
Yeah.
So I think that's what happens. I think the better way to go would be to assume a higher efficiency off the rip, which will give you a lower hourly rate, and then go in and set yourself up for success as far as like sales and selling more stuff. That's a long topic.
Sure.
And maybe we'll come up on some of it here on pricing strategies. But yeah, moral of the story is sell more time. It's all about time. The whole thing. Let's see. You have billable efficiency, which would be tracking your billable hours, but then you also have that would be global efficiency. In Service Titan, they have a metric called billable efficiency. That's like time bid on site versus time worked on site. So like out of their 2,000 hours, if they worked 1,000 of those hours on site and they billed out 1,000 hours on site, which never happens.
Right.
I mean, sometimes it does, but they'd be sitting at 100% efficiency, billable efficiency. So that'd be 50% global, 100% billable. The best way to get your global efficiency up is just to track your billable efficiency and keep it at 80% or higher.
Yeah.
It'll automatically make your stuff better. One of the easiest ways to get a higher billable efficiency is just to sell more stuff while you're at the home. If you've got 15 minutes on every task for drive time and you sell 4 tasks, all of a sudden you gain an hour.
Yeah.
Versus if you sell one, you only got 15 minutes. So piece of cake.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Okay. Number 4, determining the cost per billable hour. This one's easy, kind of. We've done this 2 ways. Like, we've done this where you take all of your expenses for the year and you say, cool, you figure out how many billable hours you have available. So like in the last example, you have 6,000, or you have 3 techs. They work 2,000 hours each. You got 6,000 hours available. They're 50% efficient. So I've got 3,000 hours that I can bill to the customer. So I have all of these expenses. They total $1 million. And I need to cover them in 3,000 hours. So I need to be $415 an hour So I think it actually works out to like $300 an hour just to cover my expenses.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got to mark that up for profit. Hopefully 30%, give a 10% discount for members, and you're rocking and rolling. We then switch to margin pricing, which is kind of the same thing. We're just saying on our P&L, overhead's typically 30%. We want 20% net. And so if we hit a 50% gross profit, then we can hit 20% net. So let's try for a 55%. That'll give us a 5% buffer. And then you price based on gross profit.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of do the same thing. You say, okay, my guys, I pay them $35 an hour. Plus their benefits, they end up costing me, let's say, $50 an hour. And then if they're going to bill out 55% of their time, then they really cost me like $75 an hour. And then if I want to hit 55% gross profit on my P&L, I have to charge $300 an hour. Basically, just do that math all the way through. And then for materials, it's the same thing. Well, on service work, I have really poor material efficiency. So a $100 material probably costs me closer to $150. And then if I want to hit 55% gross profit on my P&L, I do 150 divided by 0.45. And that gives me how much I need to charge for this material.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty simple.
Yeah.
That's what we switch to. And then we have different efficiencies for different things.
Yeah.
Is what we ended up doing, which gets us kind of into our next category of importance of pricing strategies.
Is this that topic we were talking
It's
about?
my favorite one.
Okay.
This is the one I've been thinking a lot about lately because we've been starting this new plumbing business and building on our price book. And I've been thinking about different pricing strategies. We talked about them on the last podcast, like loss leaders, and how if we can reduce if we could be more efficient with our marketing cost, we can actually afford to sell things cheaper because we're getting the calls cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're good at the upselling, we actually make more margin running like a $99 drain clean than if we ran full price drain clean pay-per-click ads, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
If we can get our marketing costs from $200 down to $50 to get a customer, we're getting customers for 25% of the cost. Our marketing budget maybe went from 15% down to 4%. And so there's an extra 11% on your P&L. And I believe we're going to test this out. You can just run a more efficient business. And it's kind of what we saw with when we implemented the different price points.
Mm-hmm.
We basically did like a service price point at 55% efficiency. So anything 4 hours and under, any task that's 4 hours and under, we charged a higher hourly rate for.
Mm-hmm.
And then we said, well, when we get to 5 hours, we're automatically at 60% efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
So we started passing that savings along to the customer. Also on any like jobs with equipment, like water heaters or water pumps or expensive items, our material efficiency on those items is actually pretty good because the majority of the cost is the water heater or the water pump or the piece of equipment. And so we didn't mark those materials up as much.
Mm-hmm.
And what that did was it increased conversion rates on those higher ticket items and then just brought in more revenue. Like we saw over the course of a year, we saw an extra $1 million in revenue. And I believe that between that change and commission is really what did it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important. Like it's not so cut and dry.
Right.
As just like, this is my hourly rate. This is my material markup. Let's go.
Yep.
It's a little.
Which is the way we operated for a while.
We did. And we made a ton of money that way.
Yeah. And it seemed like that was good. I mean, it obviously worked for a while.
Yeah.
And it seems logical, but yeah, once you dig into it a little bit more, you realize that there's got to be a better way.
Yeah. So like some of the new things that we're thinking about, like I was talking to you yesterday about like a toilet, for example. Our toilets at Prospector were like $1,500. And so we'd pay for marketing, and inevitably somebody would call us for a toilet, and they'd call up and they'd be like, hey, how much to come out and install a new toilet? And we would say, oh, we can't give you a price over the phone. We wouldn't say that. We'd say, we would follow our script process to get the job booked without telling them a price. And then we would pay a technician. So we'd pay for the marketing, pay for the CSR to answer the phone call, pay for the technician to drive out to this house, and then hang out with the customer and write them estimates for new toilets. And then 9 times out of 10, like our close rate on toilets was probably 10%. And so knowing that 90% of the people are going to say no, we went ahead and spent all that money to do that anyways. So at this business, I'm like, well, if at full price, everybody says no, why don't we lower the price so that, because like on those jobs, let's say it costs us $200 to get the phone call, and then we pay $10 in gas and $100 in wages, and we're $310 in just for somebody to tell us no.
Right.
We lose $310. Why don't we go out and install that toilet, go there and make our price so that if we go out to 100 toilet calls, we sell enough to break even on all those calls, because essentially it puts our marketing cost at no expense to us because we broke even. It sounds way more efficient.
Yeah.
So what are the items? So we've been thinking about like, what are the items that everybody says no to? Like toilet installs. Okay, let's have an option that's just like a cheap, junky toilet that we can go out and sell 60% of the time. And even if we don't hit full margin on it, if we can just break even across the board, then we're better off, because breaking even on toilets is better than losing money on toilets. Because if we lose money on toilets, anything we do make money on, that money has to come from there.
Yeah.
If we break even, everything we do make margin on, we get to maintain full margin.
Yeah.
So there's those little pricing strategies. The one I was thinking about today that I was going to tell you about, and I said, we'll talk about it on the podcast. I'm sitting here doing the toilets in the price book. So we have a good, we have a better, and we have a best. I'm a big fan of American Standard toilets. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I just love them. And you know what's crazy? Toilets down in Florida, a $280 toilet at Home Depot in Fairbanks, Alaska, it's a $165 toilet down here.
No kidding.
Isn't that wild?
Costs a lot to get them up there, I suppose.
Yeah, that's crazy. So toilet prices are already cheaper. I was actually really surprised. So I found a short, round front American Standard toilet. It's $149 in the box from Home Depot. I have no problem selling Home Depot toilets. That's our basic toilet install. Okay. The toilet, that toilet's $149. Our better toilet is basically the same brand toilet, just taller. So it's taller, round front. That's $149 for the toilet as well. We're going to make that one just a touch more expensive. So like our loss leader toilet will be the short, round front, $149 toilet. The step up will probably price at margin. So if they want a taller toilet, we make our margin. And then the next step up is tall toilet that's elongated. And that's it. Just 3 different toilet options. That the best option toilet, it's only I think it's $169. So it's only like $20 more to get that toilet. And we'll price that one at margin as well. We have these 3 different price points in our price book right now. We have the service pricing. We have the install pricing. So service pricing is 4 hours or less. It's 2. Member price is like $280. Material markup is 300%. We have our install. Member price is like, I think it's like $214, and material markup's 180%. That's 8 hours or more. And then we have our We call it like what did we decide to call that?
So the 5, 6, 7 hours equipment install, and then beyond that is our general install.
There you go.
Price.
Equipment install. So we have one that's 5, 6, 7 hours, and the material markup is 150%. And the hourly rate, I believe, member hourly rate is like $230 or $240, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the less material markup is because it's equipment and we're more efficient. Like if we go buy a water heater, the majority of the cost when we go install a water heater on material side is the water heater.
Mm-hmm.
We know what a water heater costs. We can be very accurate with that. It's not like we're going in and bidding something in a wall that we can't see and we thought it was going to be 1090s and turns out it's 40.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't happen with a water heater. It's
right.
Pretty simple, pretty basic, should be pretty efficient on materials. Therefore, we could have less of a material markup, sell more water heaters, increase revenue, make more profit.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we do that with toilets?
Have a toilet specific price, margin price.
So what I'm thinking is we should add a fourth price point. And I know this sounds confusing, but it's not really wouldn't be that bad.
Mm-hmm.
Add a fourth pricing rule that is service hourly rate, but then has way less of a material markup for items like toilets. So like a toilet, for example, we know exactly what that toilet costs, and it comes with all the stuff to install it. Like our efficiency on that material cost will be really good. Because what I think is probably happening right now is we're marking up certain items. We're throwing these toilets into the service category because it fits in that time frame.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're applying the markup rule to inefficient things, to toilets, which are actually really efficient to go buy in price.
Sure.
And so we're probably actually making more margin than we think on toilets.
That might not be a bad idea at all. I just threw some numbers on the good, better, best toilet task based on intuition, like what I thought it might cost. And our good toilet, we have at a static price that we're going to advertise. And until we change that price, it is that price.
Yep.
And so then like our job costing on that, we don't really care about that much.
Right. It's a loss leader.
Yeah. Yep. But then the better toilet, I threw some numbers at that, and that is not static pricing. That is dynamic pricing. And I was like, oh shit, we're never going to get somebody to go from good to better. The price more than doubles, I want to say, based on the numbers I threw at it. Yeah. Those aren't real life.
I redid them this morning. It's not as bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not nearly as bad.
We might have to change the description too, but that's very small. But I looked at those, just throwing numbers at them, like, man, that's going to be a tough one. We'll deal with that later, but this is just for fun to see what it looked like. Maybe that fourth pricing rule and we don't have to call it the toilet pricing rule. We can do that for other things that we know what the price is, like probably faucets, I suppose.
Right.
I know what the price of all that stuff is. Probably garbage disposals and things like that.
Yeah.
I don't know what we should call it, but that might not be a bad idea. It'll at least be worth the time to create that rule and see and add those categories to it and see what it does for the price.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
I think it would. So like in that instance that you just described, where we have this loss leader toilet at like $699, and then our next toilet is $1,200.
Mm-hmm.
Like we know that jump is probably never going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so why wouldn't we just drop the cost a little bit? Like at the end of the day, if we can increase margin from our loss leader at 10% to this other toilet and make 40% margin, maybe we don't make our full 50%, 55% margin at the end of the day that we wanted to. Mm-hmm. But if we can go from 10 to 40, that's 20% extra margin on that task that we wouldn't have otherwise.
Yeah.
And it's the same exact time spent on site.
Mm-hmm.
So we should be encouraging our customers to help us make more margin rather than discouraging. And I think sometimes we just get so black and white and we actually discourage the actual thing that we want in our business.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that like on our loss leader toilet, if we're at 10% margin, we got to go make up 45% margin somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
If we get to 40% margin on our toilets, we'll have to go make up 15% margin on somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I think just by doing that, you'll see conversion rates go up, which will increase your global efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll make up that margin just on global efficiency.
Sure.
Is my theory.
We're going to run it and find out.
Oh, it's going to work.
It sounds like...
I'm so confident.
It sounds like a lot better way to go for sure.
I'm very confident.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually really excited about it. Okay. Let's see. Dun, dun, dun. I have on here adjusting pricing based on the stage of the business. This is probably a very important topic. So like we're setting up our pricing based on when we have 3 guys out in the field.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually going to cost us to lose money in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because it's actually more, because we don't have enough people out in the field yet to produce enough revenue to actually cover all the costs of the business.
Mm-hmm.
And we're okay with that because rather than trying to be really expensive and then lower prices later, we will just lose the money because we have the money to lose.
Sure.
And it seems easier to just make a consistent streamlined thing that we know is going to work and then train everybody on that streamlined thing, and then it doesn't have to change.
Mm-hmm.
So rather than the headache of all that change, we decided to just screw it for like 6 months until I think we break even at 2 guys.
Mm-hmm.
And then we start making profit at 3. So we'll lose money for a little bit, we'll break even for a little bit, and then we'll be profitable. Totally cool with that. However, if you're a one truck Chuck and you start in your business with $1,500 in the bank, you don't have that option.
Yeah.
So you have to price yourself based on where you're at. So if you need to charge more to break even and continue to market your business and pay yourself as an employee, do it.
Mm-hmm.
100%.
Yeah.
Also know that like you don't always have to make 20% profit.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're growing your company excessively from 1 truck to 2 truck to 3 truck and you incur all of these expenses and you're still trying to make a 20% profit and then charge your customer way more for that, it's probably going to hurt you more than it helps, I think, sometimes. Sure. Because conversion rates will go lower and you'll just make less money.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you have really good sales skills
mm-hmm.
and you can just convert no matter what. Then 100% raise your rates.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my theory.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. Ideally, you would be making 20% profit on day one, but that's not the reality of life.
You can as a 1 truck Chuck, but the second you try to go from 1 truck to 2 trucks and 3 trucks, you incur all these other marketing expenses, vehicle expenses, stock expenses, tool expenses, all this stuff. It's almost impossible to maintain 20%.
Yeah.
Like from the day I started Prospector to the day I hired my first guy, I put away $80K. From the time I hired my first guy to the time I hired you, I lost all of that $80K and then made the $80K back.
Sure.
And then we made like another $120K over like a 3-month period. And then I lost the majority of that.
Yeah, we have
time for a bit. Then we made it all back. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it was like a 2-year period where there wasn't any money left over. Mm-hmm. It was buying trucks, buying vans, training guys, buying tools, buying stock for the trucks.
Yeah.
Doing more marketing, the whole 9 yards. So be prepared for that. That's all I would say. Okay, key takeaways. Track all your expenses. Know exactly where every penny goes. It's super crucial. You have to charge more than it costs.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an easy one. You need to know how many billable hours you're selling and how to sell more billable hours. So like really like when we go over those pricing strategies, they're just strategies to sell more of our time. Mm-hmm. That's really all it is. But you need to know that number to calculate your hourly rate properly. If you don't know, just start with 55%.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about it. Pretty simple.
Pretty simple. Do these things. It'll put you in a lot better position.
Way better.
Yeah.
Way better. Cool. If you guys want to know more information about all this stuff, go check out our school group. Go to wealthyplumber.com, click the big button that says join school group. We got a 7-day free trial. It's $99. You get access to 2 coaching calls, group coaching calls, and all of our classroom with all this stuff like broken out for you piece by piece. Plus the community of business owners in there, all working towards running successful businesses, super valuable. You can now get private coaching. It's a little more expensive. You can get it from one of our certified coaches who runs and owns $1 million company, or you can get it straight from us right here, myself and Eddie. That one's even more expensive, believe it or not. But go check it out. We got something for everybody in there. Wealthyplumber.com. See you guys.
See ya.